Thank you so much. The first item of business is for the presentation of the colors by Weeblos Pack 476. If they would please come forward. If the audience would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and followed by a performance of the national anthem. If the troop would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you very much. That was the Kennedy Middle School Choir, directed by Shelley Durbin. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. You may be seated. One of the downsides of living here in Cupertino is we develop a seriously skewed notion of what late fall weather should be like. It's a great day, and it's a great day in Cupertino, and it's a great occasion for us to all come together and celebrate the people that we've known and the people we haven't known who have served us, whether we knew it or not. This afternoon, we're joined by your elected representatives. Vice Mayor Mark Santoro is here with his escort. Councilmember, former Mayor Orrin Mahoney. Former Mayor and Councilmember Sandra James. And our City Manager, Dave Knapp, is also here, and he'll be speaking to you later. We're very fortunate in Cupertino to have such a wonderful permanent monument recognizing those who have served our community. To my left is a monument honoring Matthew Axelson and those countless others who have served this community and this nation. I know his parents are here this afternoon, Donna and Corky. Thank you for coming. But this year is a little special because we have also, besides this permanent monument, we have the wall. For those who have been to Washington, D.C., you can appreciate that this is almost actual size. I think not quite. But the wall represents a war that some of us remember, and some of us knew people who went. And for those who are still in school, the Vietnam War was different. Unlike the wars today where we thank those who served, this was a very, very difficult, very bloody war that was fought by the men and women of this nation. And when those soldiers came home, no one said thank you. People were very rude. And so that war was very different. It was fought not only in Vietnam, but also in the United States. Unfortunately, on both sides, and the hardest fighting by those who served the most. So we're here today to honor those veterans of Vietnam, and to tell the stories of the people, the families, the friends, that lived their lives, that loved life, that were loved in turn, and we're here today in some small way to honor them. To start off with, I'd like to have our council member and former Mayor Orrin Mahoney come and speak.
Thank you, Rick. So again, on behalf of Mark Santoro and I and the entire rest of the City Council who could not be here today, we want to welcome you to this glorious day and this wonderful event. Many months ago, when we first heard that a replica of the Vietnam Memorial Wall was coming to Cupertino, I did not envision this at all. I envisioned some small model that we're going to show over in a community hall or something like that. So coming out here today, seeing this for the first time, it truly is amazing. Now, that doesn't mean that anybody that has the opportunity to go back to Washington, D.C. and see the real one should pass that up. It's a special place, and the way that you walk down below ground to get to it has a very special feel. So I encourage anybody to go and see the original, but if you do not have that opportunity, certainly this is very close to it, or as close as we're going to get here in Cupertino. I think it's important to understand how the city of Cupertino brought both this memorial and a wall here. And before Sandy has a fit, I don't mean the city of Cupertino with a capital C. I don't mean the government of Cupertino. Although we played a role in this, it really is the city, the citizens of Cupertino, the people that live here, work here, or have an affinity for Cupertino that made this all happen. As you know, this the memorial that we're standing in here and the memorial wall is due to the Cupertino Veterans Memorial Association and all the hard work of those people to fundraise and solicit support throughout the community and throughout the area is really what made all this happen. So I want to congratulate Sandy and all the people that put that together for all the good work that they've done. It is really important to remember. If you don't remember, you're there, you can repeat your mistakes. As Rick pointed out, we made a mistake when the veterans of Vietnam came home, and I think we learned from that mistake. So by remembering them, we won't make that mistake again, and we're not making that mistake now, fortunately. We had the opportunity yesterday at Cupertino Rotary to have 3 veterans, including Dennis Whittaker, who you're going to hear from later on today, come in and tell their stories from different wars, including Vietnam, of what sacrifices they made to ensure that our freedoms are continued. And it was very inspiring and very important. So I'll close with 2 comments. One is I think I stood probably right here 4 years ago when this memorial was dedicated, and the comment I made at the time was, if those of you who've been around for a while remember, this was a hill before this was done, and when it was built, it felt so right. It was like it was here all the time, underneath the hill, just kind of waiting to be unearthed. And the Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. is similar to that. It's under the flat ground. It was like it was waiting there to be unearthed at the right time. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day, but especially encourage any friends, relatives. I'll be bringing my grandson by to come by and experience this special opportunity. So thank you all for being here.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Taylor. This is the Cupertino Advanced Choir, Cupertino Middle School, and we will. Okay.
Mike's not, no,
Mike's not. Here, let me try this one. Can you hear me now? All right, let's try this again. My name is Jessica Taylor. I'm the director of the Cupertino Middle School Advanced Choir, and we will be performing God Bless America and Journey in Peace.
Let us swear allegiance to a land
That was Adeline. Oh, can't hear on this one anyways. All right, on the keyboard, that was Adeline from the choir, and the flutist was Lisa from the advanced band from Cupertino Middle School.
Thank you so much, Jessica. I don't know if anyone noticed, Adeline's sheet music closed right after she started. She didn't miss a beat. Good job. We have a couple of more introductions. Councilmember Barry Chang is also here. And the election results are not certified for those of you who voted on Tuesday. But unless there's a dramatic change, the newest city council member we have is also here, Mr. Rod Sinks. Rod, would you raise your hand? And that ceremony, whoever wins, will be on December 6th. And then, of course, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Rick Kitson. I'm the Public and Environmental Affairs Director for the city. Next, I'd like to invite up retired Lieutenant Dennis Whittaker to share his thoughts.
Before I start, I don't want anyone to stand up. Would all veterans please raise your hand and let everybody thank you for serving, no matter when. Thank you. We owe you big time. You veterans who were out in the field in combat are going to remember this. Incoming. Oh. Hello? Okay, thank you. That was God. He knows I'm nervous, so he said I'll do okay. Thank you to all who were involved in today's event for letting me speak. Thank you also for whoever wore a military uniform, whether you served overseas or at home. I'm speaking to tell you why I think the Vietnam Memorial is important. To help you understand where my thoughts come from, here's my story. I'm a Vietnam veteran that was fortunate to come home. Like many, I know men and women who answered the country's call who did not make it home. Their names are listed on the wall. Every death is a tragedy, but just to give you some perspective, we lost over 1,800 soldiers in the 10 years we're fighting in Afghanistan. We lost 4,300 plus in Iraq, and we lost 58,200 plus in Vietnam in 10 years. I remember a childhood friend from first grade on, Rich Sullivan, who died in the early part of the war. And I remember Greg Ogawa, who was with me as I shared 4 years of high school band with him. He was a sousaphone player. I was a wannabe trombone player. And I remember members of my own platoon, plus Lieutenant John Gross in my company, who died on an incident July 27th, 1971, of which he'll tell you more about it later. He is on the file West 3, 22 names up. During the Vietnam years, serving in the military was not a choice. Like most soldiers, once I completed high school and college, I was eligible for the draft, and it was difficult finding work due to the possibility of being drafted. I enlisted February 29, 1969. Like most, I did not want to go to Vietnam, but like our fathers who served in World War II, I thought it was my duty to serve. I went to Fort Ord near Monterey for my basic training. I received my shots, my head was shaved, and I began a new regimented life in the U.S. Army. I completed my basic training and advanced infantry training at Fort Ord, and in September of 1969, I went on to Officer Candidate School at Fort Benning, followed by Jump School and Ranger School. I was assigned after the training as an instructor with the Rangers. During this time, I met my future wife and present wife, Penny, And I knew I was heading for Vietnam, and I also knew lieutenants have a short lifespan there. And I may not come back, or if I do, I may not have arms and legs. This made it difficult to make a commitment to her. I actually left for Vietnam on January 4th, 1971, but as an officer, I was sent to the Panama Canal Zone for special training to become familiar with jungle training. This delayed my arrival in Vietnam for 3 weeks. I took charge of my platoon in early February 1971, where I was assigned to the Americal Division, located in the northern part of South Vietnam. I served in combat until the end of July and became a general's aide in August of '71. I returned home in November of '71. As I said earlier, July 27, 1971 was an important date. That was the last of 6 times that I came close to having my name on the wall. With the Americal Division, officers in the field of combat normally spend 4 months out in the Badlands. Since President Nixon was shutting down the war and replacements were slowing down, I was out there for nearly 6 months. I had 90 soldiers under me in my platoon through that time. Sometimes we were 22 in numbers, sometimes we were 13. There were always a turnover due to 12 months of already served, vacation, injury, or reassignments. As a platoon, we spent 10 days to 2 weeks at a time out in the jungle day and night. Our job was to locate the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese. We looked out for each other to survive. On July 27, 1971, it was my platoon's turn to lead the company out into the next mission. We loaded up on 5 helicopters, which we normally did for transporting us out on our way to the landing zones. As a lieutenant, I was on the first helicopter with members of my platoon, and the rest of my platoon were on the remaining 4 helicopters ready to lift off. Until that date, I'd never lost a whole soldier, but I did have soldiers who were injured due to 5 booby traps. None of them were killed. While waiting to go, my company commander came over and told me to get out of the helicopter as I received my new rear echelon assignment. I left the first helicopter together with 3 other members of my platoon, and Lieutenant John Albert Gross took my place with his radio man, machine gunner, and ammo man. The rest of my platoon remained on the other 4 helicopters, and all the helicopters took off for their mission. 2 days later, I found out that the first helicopter went into the landing zone and was blown up with all on board. The second helicopter came in and was also destroyed with all on board. Today, I still suffer from survivalist guilt because I wasn't on that chopper. So I know all too well why the Vietnam Memorial Wall is so important in honoring and remembering. We have had the responsibility to be grateful for those who paid the ultimate price for our freedom while serving the country. Those listed on the wall did not make it home. They were not alone, as they had spouses, children, parents, siblings, and friends, all who suffered tragically with them. We need to honor all those on the wall, as well as all those who died or who served for our country. We need to take seriously the idea that our lives in America were not just given to us, but paid for by the highest price possible. I urge you to remember that when the Star-Spangled Banner is played, we need to remember those who served in the service of our country and those who never came home. I believe that I made it home due to God watching out for me, having great soldiers with me in my platoon and elsewhere, and that I was extremely lucky. One last item, and this is for all of you who have served in combat. We were pretty normal people before we served. Once we served in combat, some of us came back with hidden baggage, post-traumatic stress. I thought that since I made it home with both arms and legs intact, I had no problems. But 35 years ago, or 35 years later after coming home, strange things started to happen. PTSD is not uncommon for those who witnessed horrors in war or anywhere. I urgently request all those who have served, if you still have nightmares, if you have family worrying about you, please don't be too proud to seek help. Whether you served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan, or anywhere else in the world, you deserve the best our country has to offer. The Vet Center in San Jose has helped me to understand things I could not figure out, especially survivor's guilt. So please seek help if you need it, and thank you for letting me speak today.
We will next be performing Blowin' in the Wind by Bob Dylan, arranged by Len Thomas, and on the keyboard is Laura.
This is the Kennedy Middle School Choir. My name is Shelley Durbin. We're going to be singing 2 songs for you. One is a contemplative song I'm sure pretty much all of you will recognize. It's Oh Danny Boy. And then we'll be ending our portion of the program with a patriotic medley called United We Stand.
United we stand. United we stand. United we stand. America. It's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be free. It's a gift to be simple. It's a gift to be free. Oh, beautiful hero, in liberating strife, who more than self their
I'd like to have David Knapp, our city manager, come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Rick. Very few words. I think it's been said here. Really appreciate the schools being so well represented here and doing such a fine job for us. Appreciate the veterans that are here and their families. I think we did three things today. We reflected on the fact that there are people who are willing to bleed and die to maintain our way of life and our freedom. We're here to remember what those people did and what they are doing for us as we speak. And further, to recognize that that freedom that we have was bought at such a high price that we have an obligation. We have an obligation to make this society and this country the best it can possibly be. We have an obligation to make this a country and a society that respects the freedom and dignity of every human being. And finally, we're here to support the families. People on that wall, almost 60,000 people died, but connected with every one of those names is a family. Giving one's life is a one-time event. Their pain is over. The pain for the family continues. There are people who are still dying for us, and we have that obligation to remember that, to support those families, and to live out the dream that this country has and is in the process of developing and will one day fully achieve. So I want to thank you all for coming, and I would like to turn this over. I think Sandy has some comments for us.
First, we're going to have a musical performance.
The Cupertino Middle School Advanced Band would like to complete our portion of the program with the first piece called Proudly We Hail. It's a setting of our national anthem arranged by Brian Balmages. And we'd like to finish with a piece called New Weight on the Water. It is an arrangement of an African American folk song called Weight on the Water. And this is written by Aldefus Hailstork. And thank you so much for allowing us to be here today.
As Dave Knapp had mentioned, perhaps we can have Sandy James, our former council member and mayor and president of the Cupertino Veterans Memorial Foundation, speak to us for a few minutes.
Thank you. You know, this event today is the perfect example of why I'm very proud to live in Cupertino. I mean, our young people are so incredibly talented. Our education system excels. They're a perfect example. This memorial and the Vietnam Wall are a perfect example of government, education, local veterans from throughout the community, and a small group of people who came together because they had a dream to build a memorial to honor all veterans. I don't think that happens just everywhere, and I don't think it happens by magic. I think it happens because there is an attitude coming together in this community when things really matter, and when you need to get something done, you get it done. I am very proud, as Donna and Corky Axelson are, to be the founders of this memorial. And by the way, every school, all 5 of our high schools, all 25 of our middle schools and elementary schools have purchased pavers, raised money and purchased pavers in this memorial to honor veterans. And I think that shows you a huge amount of devotion and knowledge from our educational community. I know that the city, in particular Dave Knapp and Rick Kitson, want to bring the schools to learn more about the Vietnam War, to experience the Vietnam Wall. And we're hoping all of you young people who are here today take that message back with you and share it with your fellow students and bring your families here. I want to invite all of you to come back tomorrow. We have a very special Veterans Day ceremony every year on 11/11/11, November 11th at 11 a.m. We do a veterans ceremony right here. This year we have a special one, and including the part that honors all veterans, we will be honoring Vietnam veterans especially, and we will be having the Vietnam veterans escort us all to the Vietnam Wall at the end. So I thank you for coming today. I hope you stay and experience what you have here. I hope you say thank you, as we are trying to do to all our Vietnam veterans. When they came home, they didn't get thanks, so from us to all of you, thank you and welcome home.
Thank you, Sandy. Some other thanks need to go out to the Cupertino Middle School Choir, Jessica Taylor, Laurel Verissimo with the Cupertino Middle School Band, and Shelley Durbin with the Kennedy Middle School Dynamics. Please, a round of applause. Some additional thanks go to a group that's been enormously supportive for this event. Very quietly standing in the back in his green is Captain Carl Newsel. He is our police chief. If you would raise your hand. If you're a block leader in Cupertino, you got the inside story about some unfortunate and rather exciting events we had last month. And if you live in Cupertino and you're not a block leader, think about it. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out. Thank you for the kids for coming out. It seems like a bit of history to talk about Vietnam, and history is something that old people like to talk about. But in fact, 25,000 of the names on that wall are of people who were 20 years of age or younger. So the vast majority of the single largest category are young people. So this is about young people. This is about freedom. And freedom isn't fighting for people that you agree with. We can turn on the news and watch all around the world people who are fighting for people they agree with and people who are trying to kill people that they don't agree with. This is about honoring those who served, and those who served all of us. It's about honoring the people that we agree with, and especially important, to honor those we don't agree with. And perhaps that's the greatest honor of living and working in this community for Cupertino, is this is a community that gets it, where we honor everyone, old and new, young and old, people we agree with, people we don't agree with, but we always honor and we always come together to celebrate everyone. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I encourage you to go over and see the wall. Thank you.